Good Monday morning. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. The Mets and Yankees did for the most part. The Yankees did absolutely with another sweep as their win streak reaches 9. They continue to roll, and they got a big series coming up against the Toronto Blue Jays with the best record in baseball and the team with the second best record in baseball. The New York Mets kick off the weekend with the combined no-hitter. They ended up winning the series last night with some key hits, and Max Scherzer keeping it together just enough. And we've got the two best teams in the game right now as we head into May and, of course, into the summer. I know Boomer's going to be fired up for tomorrow as the Rangers and the Penguins get started. We got the NBA postseason going on and the rest of the draft to break down today. Going to be a big one. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, there's a million things going on right now. Man, it's amazing when you think about what the Yankees and the Mets are doing. And like you said, the Mets win yet another series, so they haven't lost a series since the season started. Scherzer he was good last night except for Kyle Schwarber.
Started off great.
Well, Kyle Schwarber. And then, of course, he starts off with 5 strikeouts. And then, I get a text from Steve Dimitri saying, oh, man, he's dealing tonight. Boom, it's gone. He touched the money again.
Steve Dimitri.
Come on, Dimitri. It's unbelievable.
Just get your balls waxed and zip it, huh?
Right, exactly. Just do that and just leave it alone. But then, of course, you have the Yankees now. And we talked about that portion of the schedule where they had to go take care of business. And I figured they'd lose 1 or 2 of these games, but they have now won 9 in a row, as you said.
Business booming.
Right, business is booming. And the interesting thing, 5 out of their next 8 will be against the Toronto Blue Jays. They'll go there for a 3-game set, and then they go to Texas, I think. No, they got Texas at home, Texas at home, and then Toronto comes to visit them at home, and then they're at Chicago, at Baltimore. Man, they play Baltimore again.
Well, of course they do,
man. It's just like Baltimore can't be on this schedule enough. Right.
Beef up on the Orioles.
It's funny when I listen to Aaron Boone being interviewed after the game, and I'm like, man, you just played like 3 of the worst teams. I mean, and you're doing what you're supposed to do, so I don't know how. I guess he does have respect for the other teams, unlike we're going to have.
Yeah.
So he has to say the right things and everything else, but I think anything other than what they did, would be somewhat of a disappointment. Like if they were 8-2 or something like that in their last 10, or they won 7 in a row. But 9 in a row is exactly what you're supposed to do. And Aaron Judge is sizzling.
Yeah, he is. So right now, the betting on himself thing is working out. Now, it doesn't mean that at the end of the season we're going to be saying the same thing, but for those who said that he was idiotic for turning down the contract, he has gotten off to a great start. Took him a while to get some home runs and RBIs on the board, but now he has done that and done it in a big way, so we'll see if he can continue it. And, of course, a big thing with Aaron Judge's health. I mean, how many games is he going to play? Are we going to look up and say he played 110 games at the end of the year, or is it going to be 155 at the end of the year? But he has been phenomenal. And in this walk year, this is going to be one of those stories. It's going to be absolutely fascinating every single month.
Yeah. I wonder, did you see that? I'm wondering if that was thunder outside.
What? What did I see?
You were talking, so you didn't hear it.
Yeah, you didn't hear the first one.
There were 2 of them,
louder.
actually. I just heard 2 of them.
Oh, really?
2 big, I believe they were thunder cracks, or somebody's moving something above us.
I didn't hear it.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it sounded like thunder, though.
We did lose some of the satellite television stations. So.
Oh. It looks like we've lost. Yeah, we've got some signal loss in
like
here as well.
DirecTV sucks on days like today.
Take a look at a radar.
Yeah, well, look at the radar. You talk about Aaron Judge. Look, he's off to a great start, and I was all about signing him and everything. The one thing about him is he could have a great year. He's not getting any younger.
That's right.
And that is the problem.
Nobody
He's not
is.
getting any younger, and you can't stop time. And I think, oh, wow, you're right.
We got some stuff over us. Look, the radar. It's definitely thunder and lightning out.
So, the interesting thing is that, he's a guy that's obviously trying to prove a point right now. Where is his arbitration case?
I don't know. I don't know what
I haven't heard anything about his arbitration case at all.
When does that have to be settled by? I don't know the answers on that. I'm going to have to look that up at some point.
Al, do you know anything about Aaron Judge's arbitration case?
I have no idea what's
All
going
right,
on
maybe
with
you
that.
can Google that, Al. What do you think?
Yeah. Why
All right,
not?
thank you very much. And by the way, yes, we start the NHL playoffs today. So, yeah, I am all jacked up, and I can't wait to have Molly Walker in studio around 9 o'clock. Is that right, Al?
That's correct.
You gonna spend a little time with Boomer and company?
Yeah, she will be. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
that's right. She tweeted out she'd be in studio with Boomer and company.
Hey.
So I said, that's right. I forgot to open the show with coming to you live from the Built Ford Tough studio. It's Boomer and company.
Right, I know.
So she doesn't know the program.
Well, maybe she does, and she's just playing with you guys. You never know.
No. She
No.
just does not know the show. 100% definitely doesn't know the
She
show.
100% she knows the show.
She does not know the show.
She knows the show.
No, she doesn't know the show. 'Cause that would
I
be-
have referred to her many times on the show,
Yeah.
and I always get something back from her either via Twitter or whatever. And she knows the show. I think she probably hastily put that tweet together, and then of
hastily,
course you react to it.
Well, I was having some fun with it. Why
Yeah,
not? I mean,
yeah, I
there's
know.
nothing else fun about having her in studio, so I figured I'd have some fun with this.
All right, okay. Well, it's going to be fun because the Rangers get started against the Penguins, and man, I'll tell you what, it's just great to be back in the playoffs again after sitting it out the last few years. And man, I can just feel it. I kind of feel like it with the Mets.
Yeah.
Turning on the Mets, and if it weren't for Kyle Schwarber last night, Scherzer would have had another great night. But watching the Mets and watching the Rangers right now, and of course the Yankee fans out there got their thing. And the other thing that I did watch yesterday, which I swear to God I want like Madison Square Garden to become a part of, is the damn Memphis Grizzlies. Now they lose to the Golden State Warriors yesterday because
Craziness, Draymond Green, the whole thing.
yeah, but Steph Curry's unbelievable.
Yep,
And Ja
of course.
Morant will learn. He just needs more time to figure certain things out. And like Steph Curry is just so cunning and crafty, both offensively and defensively. But like the Memphis Grizzlies, that looks like a place you want to go watch a basketball game.
Sure, absolutely.
Young, flying up and down the court.
Yeah.
I mean, playing defense. Even though both teams scored a bunch of points last night. I mean, that's what I want the Knicks to look like. Is there any possible way? Now, I know we don't have a Ja Morant. That doesn't mean like guys like R.J. Barrett and Obi Toppin and Emmanuel Quickly and Mitchell Robinson and Jericho Sims. Guys like that can't look like this.
Yeah.
I mean, like just flying up and down the court. We got guys that are quick side to side, laterally. R.J. Barrett's coming into his own.
Yeah.
Obi Toppin's got the lift of a Ja Morant. I mean, why can't we look like this?
Let's hope at some point. I mean, the Knicks are the farthest thing from my mind right now. It's at least a very entertaining series if you're into NBA basketball. Don't really care about what's going on with them until they start making some offseason moves.
But you understand what I'm saying?
I do, yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, I'd love for them to look like a playoff team. I think everybody would, for sure. But you got a long way to go. I mean, last year seems like a dream more than reality, and this year was more of the reality. So we'll see what they end up doing in the offseason. But yeah, I don't. There's nothing about the Knicks that are interesting right now until this postseason ends and then they get going and doing some offseason work. Jets and Giants finish up their draft. Of course, lots of guys in the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh round that we don't know much about, but we will learn. But, man, the amount of players that the Giants brought in, it is crazy to see that
and
list.
they all play different positions.
Yeah. Look at this. CBS Sports Network put it up. I mean,
Yes.
it's like 50 guys.
So, 11 guys. And,
Yeah.
the thing about it is Joe Shane's taking a lot of shots on goal.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be able to sign. They're going to have to make some more roster moves. I mean, because there's just not enough money to sign everybody. And I'm sure they were trying to figure out if they were going to trade somebody and, whether or not they decide to start redoing some contracts from some older veterans. I mean, this just tells me lots of shots on goal. The top of their draft, the first two picks are going to be immediate starters.
Yep.
This also looks like a bunch of special teams guys, as well as potential backups. I don't necessarily know that you'll find a starter out of the rest of those guys.
Well, Joe Shane was getting criticized for that Wan'Dale Robinson pick, that second-round pick. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know how his career is going to go, but the critics of him were more like, this is a small 5'9", gimmicky wide receiver.
Yeah, a guy by the name of Tyreek Hill was that too.
Exactly. So we've seen guys like that end up working out, but maybe they thought, you could get him a little bit later in the draft as opposed to picking him where they did in the second round. But, I mean, there are plenty of guys that are of that stature that have that type of speed that are wrecking games and wrecking defenses. So I'm excited to see the guy. And add him to this mix and this offensive mix and Kadarius Toney and the whole thing. So, I don't know. I try to be careful with the draft stuff. The only time I really get on teams is if they waste a first-round pick on a position that I think was silly, like last year I didn't think it was smart for the Pittsburgh Steelers to go and get a running back in the first round when Ben Roethlisberger was his last season, but they were kind of doing what the Giants were doing and trying to go for it one more year with the old quarterback. But this is a couple of teams who, as you said, want to bring in as many talented guys as possible because they had all the picks and they got a long way to go with their roster construction. And coming out of it, at least at the very top of the draft, everybody feels pretty good about the Jets and Giants.
Yeah, I just think that this kid, in the eyes of Mike Kafka and Brian Dable and everybody else, is Tyreek Hill. Now, I don't know if he'll become Tyreek Hill, of course, but I think they see a lot of similarities. They see a playmaker. They see probably a punt returner, maybe a kick returner. I mean, there's all sorts of things you can do with a kid like this. And they, believe me, they spend time and hours and, analytics and scouts, and everybody gets to know the kid, and they really dive deep into him, and they realize that, maybe he's a playmaker that we need to help Daniel Jones or Tyrod Taylor. So I'm not. All I know is the first two picks are going to be starters. That's what I know. They took two guys that are going to be starting for the New York Giants on day one. They were probably the safest picks, and the fact that Shane took Thibodeau before he took Neal because he knew that there were going to be plenty of offensive tackles, but we were running out of edge rushers, to me is really where, that's where the money spot was, and they did exactly the right thing. Now, as far as these other 9 players, who knows? You never know. But you're going to see a bunch of them on special teams, things of that nature. They're trying to get faster. That's obvious. Mm-hmm. And, and for the Jets, they get the kid Rucker from
Lindenhurst.
Great story.
Yeah, it was a Jet fan growing up. His dad was a diehard Jet fan. His dad stands up and starts, crying, hugging him because his son just went to his favorite team. I mean, that's about it. So we got a call. I feel bad because we had a caller call up and ask us about Jeremy Rucker to the Jets, and my response was, no way. They signed 2 tight ends in the offseason. There's no way the Jets are going to take him, and they ended up taking him with the 101st pick in the 3rd round. But I do feel good about Jimmy in Virginia, who called us up and said he'd never been to a Jets game in his life and became a Jet fan in 1971, and the Jets were listening. And we got Al sent the number over to someone working for the Jets, and they put it together. And Spanky, and he was able to get some tickets for
They took
Jimmy
care of Jimmy. Yes,
they took
did.
care of Jimmy. The New York Jets were listening, and they took care of Jimmy.
They really
in
did.
Virginia.
It was nice little story. But, the Breece Hall pick, the Rucker pick, these are all quality guys. And Breece Hall was, by most measures, the number 1 running back in the draft.
Scored a ton of touchdowns in his collegiate career.
Oh, God. I mean, so productive. A lot of these players that the Jets have taken are productive and are going to have opportunities to play right away. That's another thing. And they tried to add, when we were good in Cincinnati, we had 3 tight ends. They didn't all catch the ball. Some guys were H-back. Some guys lined up at fullback. Mm-hmm. And the more flexible Jeremy is and the more apt he is to play, he'll probably play some special teams as well. 3rd-round draft picks very rarely ever get cut. He's going to make the team. He's going to be on the team. He's a damn good blocker. He wasn't used a lot as a receiver in college simply because look at the wide receivers they had.
Yep.
So he did catch balls, and he was good. He was very, didn't drop a lot of balls thrown his way. So that's good, too. So I was happy for him. And I was also happy for Jack Cohn. I know we talked about this a little bit last week, but Jack Cohn, local boy from Sayville, ends up signing a free agent contract with the Colts. And this is why it's important that these kids go and play in these all-star games.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Colts coaching staff coached Jack Cohn out at the East-West Shrine game. So they got to know him. And he's going to go work with Frank. And the thing I know about Jack, and Phil Simms has told me this more, as each year has passed and he's worked with Jack, like he's a sponge. Like he'll take coaching. I think that, Frank's going to coach him hard. He's going to be in a great room with Matt Ryan, and it's going to be a really highly intelligent offensive room talking about the NFL and how to become an NFL pro. So hopefully Jack's going to the right spot. And if worst, he's on the practice squad.
Yeah, and I felt great for him because that is a spectacular place to land for all the reasons that you said. And I do believe that he is going to cut through because of the type of guy that he is. And how hard of a worker he is as well. So I'm excited for him. I wish he would have been drafted. Wasn't drafted, but he ended up in a great place.
Think Mike White.
Yeah,
You
sure.
got to think Mike White. You got a guy that's going to, somewhere latch on, get involved, love the game of football, be all over it, and then when his chance comes, he makes the most of it. And I think we were all surprised by Mike White's success last year. And I think that's kind of what the Colts are hoping, that, this is a kid that may not play this year, but in 2 or 3 years, then all of a sudden he becomes something, and, the coaches trust them, assuming that the coaches are still there, and everything works out great. So, I don't know. At least today, I feel like it's a good spot for him. Just like for Jeremy, it's a great spot for him, too. So good for those guys.